Ethiopia, Brazil, two lands on the belt, two different flavors in every cup felt. Ethiopia blooms with berries and tea, Brazil brings cocoa, nuts smooth and sweet. PASA Coffee, taste and see, which origin will your cup be? From Bird Dubai we learn the way, better coffee starts today.
PASA Coffee Podcast,
Episode 3.
Have you ever had this experience? You walk into a specialty cafe, right?
Yeah.
You order a black coffee, take a sip, and your brain just kind of, well, it sort of short circuits.
I know exactly what you mean.
Because it doesn't taste like, coffee.
Yeah.
It tastes like a literal handful of fresh blueberries.
Right, or maybe it smells intensely like jasmine flowers.
Exactly. But then, a few days later, you visit a completely different cafe, or you order a different bean, you take a sip of another black coffee, and it's a completely different universe.
It's heavy, it like coats your tongue.
Yeah, it tastes like dark chocolate and toasted almonds. And it's the exact same drink, same water, no milk, no sugar, and definitely no flavored syrups added. So what is actually going on there?
I mean, that is the ultimate mystery for anyone who's just, starting to pay real attention to what is actually in their cup.
Because my first instinct, and I'm sure I am not alone in this, is to look at the barista and wonder what kind of magic trick they just pulled off.
Oh, for sure. You're trying to figure out the secret?
Right. I'm looking at their espresso machine, or wondering if they're secretly sneaking a drop of berry extract into the cup when I turn around to grab a napkin.
Well, it's entirely logical to suspect some kind of, intervention at the cafe level. But the answer to why those two cups taste so drastically different doesn't actually start with the barista.
Okay, so where does it start? The roaster.
Not the roaster, and not the machine either. It starts way, way earlier. It starts in the dirt.
Wait, the dirt.
Yeah, it comes down to exactly where on planet Earth that specific coffee was grown.
Oh, wow. Which, honestly, perfectly sets up our mission for today.
Yeah.
This is our third deep dive in our beginner specialty coffee series, drawing on our foundational guides and resources for PASA Coffee in Dubai.
That's right. Today we're traveling the globe.
Exactly. We are figuring out how the dirt makes the difference. Because if you've been with us in our first deep dive, we established what the word specialty actually means as a graded quality standard.
Yep, the baseline.
And then we looked at the plant itself, right? Exploring the massive differences between Arabica and Robusta.
The genetics, basically.
Right. But today, we're talking geography. We are going from the high mountains of Ethiopia to the massive sweeping farms of Brazil to understand how origin completely, basically rewires the flavor of your coffee.
And to really understand that, we have to pull out a world map, because coffee is an incredibly demanding agricultural product.
Like high maintenance.
Oh, very. You can't just buy a raw coffee seed, plant it in your backyard, water it every other day, and expect to harvest anything remotely drinkable.
I'm not going to lie, the idea of having a little coffee tree on my balcony sounds amazing, but I'm guessing the climate here in Dubai isn't really going to cooperate.
No, not at all. The plant would struggle just to survive, let alone produce any complex fruit. Coffee naturally thrives only in a very specific, warm, humid region of the world.
Okay.
We obviously refer to this global band as the Coffee Belt.
The coffee belt. So that sounds like an equatorial zone.
It is, yeah. The Coffee Belt is this wide band wrapping right around the middle of the Earth. It sits almost perfectly between the Tropic of Cancer in the north and the Tropic of Capricorn in the south.
Okay, so what countries are actually inside that belt?
Oh, well, it includes a lot of countries across Africa, like Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda.
Right.
It sweeps across Central and South America, so Brazil, Colombia, Guatemala, Costa Rica. And it stretches all the way into Asia and the Middle East, too, covering places like Indonesia, India, Vietnam, and Yemen.
Okay, so the overarching theme here is a tropical, warm climate with absolutely no frost.
Exactly. Zero frost.
But wait, here is the flaw in that logic. If both the blueberry tasting coffee and the dark chocolate tasting coffee grew inside that exact same warm tropical coffee belt, How do they end up tasting like they came from different planets?
Okay, so this brings us to a concept that often intimidates people when they first get into coffee, or even wine, actually, and that word is terroir.
Terroir, T-E-R-R-O-R. Yeah, I've definitely seen that printed on the back of like fancy wine bottles.
It's a French agricultural term, but it applies beautifully to specialty coffee. And if you strip away the intimidating pronunciation, terroir simply refers to the total natural environment where the plant grows.
So just the surroundings.
Yeah, but specifically the chemical mechanisms of how that environment physically shapes the final flavor of the seed.
Okay, that makes sense.
It essentially boils down to three major pillars, right? Altitude, climate, and soil.
Let's look at the mechanics of that then, starting with altitude.
Yes.
Because I constantly see 1800 MASL, or meters above sea level, written on coffee bags.
Yeah.
Why does the plant actually care how high up the mountain it is?
Because it changes the entire metabolism of the coffee plant.
Really? Just from being higher up?
Yeah. When coffee is grown at a high elevation, say 1,500 to 2,000 meters, the temperature drops significantly, especially at night.
Oh, right. Mountains get cold when the sun goes down.
Exactly. So during the warm day, the plant photosynthesizes normally and creates sugars. But at night, the cold temperature forces the plant to slow its respiration. It basically burns way less energy.
So because it's like shivering on the mountain, it basically holds on to the sugars it made during the day instead of burning them off.
That is exactly the biological mechanism at work. Because the coffee cherry develops so slowly in that cold air, it packs those sugars and organic acids very tightly into the seed.
Wow.
This creates an incredibly dense coffee bean, and when a roaster gets a dense high-altitude bean, they can apply heat in a way that unlocks very bright, complex, highly acidic, and, sweet fruit flavors.
So high altitude fundamentally engineers a brighter, fruitier cup.
Precisely.
It's essentially the slow cooking method. Like a stew simmering for 8 hours develops way more complex flavors than something just boiled for 5 minutes.
That is a perfect analogy, actually.
Hey, what about the dirt itself? How does soil change a flavor profile?
Well, think about the root system. Volcanic soil, for instance, is highly prized in coffee farming.
Because of the minerals.
Yeah, it's very loose, which allows deep root penetration, and it is incredibly rich in minerals like phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium. Potassium specifically helps the coffee plant regulate the opening and closing of its stomata.
You had that.
Yeah, the little pores on its leaves.
Oh, okay. So better stomata control means the plant is more efficient at breathing and processing water, which I'd imagine leads to a healthier, sweeter cherry.
Exactly. It creates a drastically different cellular structure inside the seed. And when you combine that with specific climate patterns, meaning the exact timing of the rainy season versus the dry season when the cherries need to mature, you get wildly different end products.
I always connect this back to mangoes.
Oh, mangoes. How so?
Yeah. So if you buy a mango grown in the cooler hills of Nepal, right, and you taste it next to an Alfonso mango grown in the intense heat of India, or like a mango from the Philippines, it's the exact same species of fruit.
Right.
But the physical experience is entirely different. I mean, the Philippine mango might be incredibly syrupy and sweet, while the Nepali one has a firmer texture and a bright, almost floral aroma.
Oh, absolutely.
Same fruit, but the soil and the rain literally wrote a different story. Coffee works exactly the same way, doesn't it?
Yes, 100%. The terroir of the Philippines chemically alters the development of the mango compared to the terroir of Nepal.
Right.
So a coffee seed planted in the iron-rich red clay soils of Africa is going to pull different nutrients and develop different acids than that exact same genetic seed planted in the volcanic mountains of Central America.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the map and look at some specific origins so we can see this terroir in action. I think we should start with the heavyweight champion, the historical birthplace of the plant, Ethiopia.
Oh man, Ethiopia is sacred ground in the specialty coffee world.
It really is.
It is the geographic birthplace of the Arabica species. I mean, for centuries, coffee just grew wild in the lush, high-altitude undergrowth of Ethiopian forests before humans ever began cultivating it systematically.
Just wild coffee trees everywhere.
Yeah, and because of that, the genetic diversity of coffee plants in Ethiopia is just staggering. There are thousands of wild varieties there that don't exist anywhere else on Earth.
So when I'm at a cafe, right, and I buy an Ethiopian pour-over, what is that unique genetic makeup and that high-altitude terroir actually doing to the water in my cup?
So Ethiopian coffees are famous for being highly expressive. They're bright, delicate, and super aromatic.
You really are.
When you brew them, the liquid often feels surprisingly light on your tongue. It's more like drinking a complex herbal tea than the heavy, dark liquid people traditionally associate with the word coffee.
Yeah, that tea-like quality is so distinctive.
You will frequently encounter tasting notes of berries, citrus zest, jasmine flowers, honey, or even like Earl Grey tea.
Wait, I have to stop you there. Because I vividly remember looking at a bag of Ethiopian coffee that literally said jasmine and peach on the label.
Okay, yeah.
And my first thought was, are they literally spraying perfume on these beans before they bag them? I mean, how does a coffee bean physically taste like a peach if there is absolutely no peach involved?
That is a brilliant question because the vocabulary of coffee tasting can sound completely unhinged to a newcomer.
It sounds like fiction.
Right, but there are absolutely no artificial flavorings added to specialty coffee, none. The answer actually lies in the anatomy of the plant itself. We call it a coffee bean, but that's really a misnomer.
It's not a bean.
No, it's the seed of a fruit. It's literally the pit inside a coffee cherry.
Oh, so because it starts its life as a fruit on a branch, it retains the chemical memory of being a fruit.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. When that cherry grows slowly in that high-altitude Ethiopian terroir, it develops specific organic compounds, things like esters and aldehydes.
Okay, big science words.
Right, but these are the exact same chemical compounds that give actual peaches or actual blueberries their aroma in nature. Yeah. So when the coffee is processed and roasted carefully, those compounds survive. So when you taste peach in your black coffee, you aren't tasting peach juice. Your olfactory system is recognizing the exact same organic chemical structures that exist in a real peach.
Okay, that completely demystifies the tasting notes for me. It's not an added ingredient, it's a shared chemical compound. That is wild.
It really is.
So let's put this into a daily context for you listening. Imagine it's a Friday morning here in Dubai. The weather is actually quite nice. You've got the windows open and you have nowhere to be.
Sounds perfect.
You want a drink that feels clean, light, and aromatic. You want to sit and sip it slowly. This is the moment for an Ethiopian coffee. You grab a V60, you do a slow pour over, and you drink it black. It's vibrant. It just kind of dances on your palate.
It's a remarkable sensory experience. But, you know, a bright, acidic, tea-like coffee isn't what everyone wants every single day.
Oh, definitely not. What if it's a Tuesday morning, right?
Yeah.
You are rushing out the door to jump onto Sheikh Side Road, and you just want something that feels like a warm, heavy hug.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want bright and floral then. You want deep, comforting, and familiar.
Right. So for that, where do we go?
For that, we leave the high-altitude forests of East Africa, and we cross the ocean to South America. We go to Brazil.
Let's talk about the terroir of Brazil, because it's one of the largest coffee producers on the planet. How does its geography change the seed?
So Brazilian coffee farming often happens on a massive scale. And typically it's at lower altitudes and on flatter terrain compared to the steep, cool mountains of Ethiopia.
Okay.
Because the altitude is lower, the temperatures are warmer, and the cherry develops much faster.
So it doesn't have those cold nights to slow down its metabolism. It's just burning through energy differently.
Exactly.
Right.
Which means it develops far less of those sharp citric acids. Instead, it develops complex carbohydrates.
That's how hydrates.
Yeah. And when roasted, those carbohydrates undergo the Maillard reaction. That's the same browning process that happens when you bake bread or sear a steak.
Oh, wow.
This creates a coffee profile that is incredibly smooth, creamy, and heavily anchored in notes of dark chocolate, roasted nuts, caramel, and biscuit.
So it's a completely different weight in the mouth. Like it actually feels thicker.
Very much so. It's a heavier body.
And I'm guessing this specific low-acid, heavy body profile is why Brazilian beans absolutely dominate the milk-based drink menus in cafes.
Oh, entirely. The interaction between coffee acidity and dairy fat is crucial.
How so?
Well, if you take a highly acidic, bright, lemony Ethiopian espresso and dump it into a massive cup of hot steamed milk, the chemistry can seriously clash.
Like it tastes bad.
It can. The citric or malic acids in the light roast coffee can react poorly with the milk, creating this sour, almost curdled flavor profile. I mean, it takes a master roaster and barista to make that pairing work well.
You know, I always think of it like putting together a band.
A band.
Yeah. The Ethiopian bean is like a piccolo. It's bright, it's high-pitched, it pierces through everything. But if you're trying to build a heavy song around just a piccolo, it sounds thin and sharp. Milk needs a bass guitar. It needs that heavy, low-frequency foundation.
That is a perfect analogy. The fat and lactose in the milk needs something to lock onto. Brazil's smooth, low-acid, chocolatey base is the perfect bass guitar. The caramel notes in the Brazilian coffee merge seamlessly with the heated sugars in the steamed milk. It creates a drink that honestly tastes like dessert.
So back to your daily routine in Dubai. If you were ordering a cappuccino, a latte, a flat white, or a Spanish latte, you want a coffee with the Brazilian base.
Absolutely.
It provides that comforting, creamy spine that punches through the milk without fighting the dairy.
Right. And this naturally leads us to how you actually buy these coffees, because understanding the origin is only half the battle.
True.
When you look at the retail shelves in a cafe, you are constantly going to be confronted with the term single origin.
Yes. I see single origin plastered across so many bags, and often with a slightly higher price tag. Is this just a marketing buzzword, or does it serve a specific function?
No, it serves a very deliberate function. Single origin means that every single bean inside that bag came from one isolated geographic location.
Yeah.
The entire point of a single origin coffee is to give you an unfiltered taste of the terroir we just spent the last 10 minutes discussing.
But how isolated is isolated? Are we talking about one country or narrower than that?
It can be a whole country, but usually it's much more specific. It might be narrowed down to one region within Ethiopia, like Yirgacheffe.
Oh, we've heard that one.
Right, and often it's narrowed down to one single farm. Sometimes a farmer will even isolate the cherries from one specific hillside on their property because the soil there gets a slightly different angle of morning sun.
Seriously, just one hillside?
Yeah, we actually call that a micro lot.
Okay, so if a single origin is an unfiltered look at one specific piece of dirt, what exactly is a blend? Because the other half of the cafe's shelf is usually labeled house blend or espresso blend.
Right. A blend is an intentional mixture. A roaster will take green coffee beans from 2, 3, or sometimes 4 different origins and roast them together, or roast them separately and mix them afterward.
I'm guessing a blend is basically an insurance policy for the roaster.
Right.
Because if a single origin from one specific hillside is completely reliant on that year's weather, it might taste amazing in March and slightly different in November.
Exactly.
So by blending a chocolatey bean from Brazil with a balanced bean from Colombia, the roaster ensures my Tuesday morning latte tastes exactly the same 365 days a year.
Consistency is a massive part of it, yes. But the other reason is balance.
Balance.
Yeah, a wild, naturally processed single origin can have aggressive, funky, fermented fruit flavors. That's thrilling for a coffee enthusiast, but it might completely overwhelm someone who is just looking for a solid, normal cup of coffee. A well-crafted blend smooths out those sharp edges. The roaster uses the Brazilian bean for the chocolatey body, adds a tiny percentage of Ethiopian bean to bring a little bit of floral aroma to the top, and creates this harmonious, balanced product.
It's basically cooking, like a recipe.
It is exactly like a recipe.
It's fascinating how subjective this all is, but you definitely run into a bit of snobbery in specialty coffee. People will proudly declare they only drink single origin micro lots, which, sort of implies that anyone buying a Brazilian house blend is drinking an inferior product.
Oh, we need to dismantle the better myth right now. A single origin Ethiopian coffee is not inherently better than a Brazilian blend.
Thank you.
They are doing two completely different jobs. If you value wild, unpredictable, bright fruit notes and you drink your coffee black, the single origin is better for your palate.
Makes sense.
But if you value a perfectly consistent, velvety, chocolatey cappuccino every single morning, a high-quality blend is a far superior choice for you.
So we've traveled the map, we've broken down the chemistry of terroir, and we've decoded the bags on the shelf. Let's move this from theory into practice.
Let's do it.
Because we want you, the listener, to actually experience these differences on your own palate. And you do not need to be a certified coffee grader in a lab to do this.
No, application is where the knowledge actually clicks into place.
Exactly. So imagine you invite some friends over for dinner. You're at your place, maybe you live in Burdabai or Jumeirah or Business Bay. You've just finished a massive, heavy plate of biryani or momos or pasta.
Sounds like a great night.
Everyone is full, sitting around the table. Now, normally, this is the moment someone boils a kettle and spoons some dark, bitter instant coffee into a few mugs just to keep people awake. We are going to upgrade that moment.
Absolutely. Instead of one generic pot of coffee, you serve 2 small intentional brews side by side.
Okay, a tasting menu.
Yes. One is a single origin Ethiopian coffee, perhaps brewed on a V60 pour over, and the other is a Brazilian coffee brewed in a French press or as an espresso.
You hand everyone 2 small cups. What are the actual rules for this tasting to make sure they are noticing the terroir and not just, messing up the variables?
First, try to standardize the brewing method if you can. If you only own a French press, brew both the Ethiopian and the Brazilian in the French press.
Oh, use the same tool for both.
Yes, using the exact same water temperature and the same grind size. By locking in all the brewing variables, the only thing changing is the agricultural origin of the bean.
That makes total sense. Comparing a highly concentrated espresso to a diluted pour-over is going to completely skew the results. What's the next rule?
You have to taste both of them black first. I know the instinct is to immediately reach for the milk or sugar, but resist.
Resist the milk.
You need the pure liquid to coat your palate so you can assess the body and the acidity.
Okay, so when they take that sip, what should their brain actually be searching for?
Pay attention to the physical weight of the liquid. The Ethiopian coffee will likely feel thin, bright, and tea-like. It might even make the sides of your tongue tingle slightly, the way lemonade does.
Oh, that's the acidity from the high-altitude development.
Precisely. Then sip the Brazilian cup. It should feel heavier, creamier, and lacking that sharp tingle. The fruit notes in the first cup will suddenly seem very obvious when contrasted against the toasted nut and cocoa notes of the second cup.
I love that.
Yeah.
And the best part of this exercise is figuring out what you actually prefer. You can ignore what the fancy tasting notes say you should like. Write down which one you like best and why.
Exactly. When you do a side-by-side comparison, coffee stops being this binary concept of just strong or weak. It becomes this massive three-dimensional spectrum of flavors driven by global geography.
And practically, it completely changes your posture when you walk into a cafe. You are no longer guessing what the drinks mean. You can order with total precision.
Yes, it empowers you.
So to help you with that precision, let's give you a mental cheat sheet for your next cafe visit. Let's do a quick quiz. If someone wants a chocolatey, nutty, smooth coffee with low acidity, which origin should they try?
Brazil, every time.
Boom. Now think of these as 2 core flashcards to keep in your back pocket. Flashcard number 1, the coffee belt. This is the warm region around the equator where coffee naturally grows. If you were drinking coffee, it came from the specific, warm, humid zone.
And flashcard number 2, single origin versus blends. Single origin is coffee from one specific place, used to highlight the unique taste of that origin's dirt and weather. A blend mixes origins for balance and consistency.
And if you ever blank out while staring at a menu, Brazil brings the smooth, chocolatey bass guitar. Ethiopia brings the bright, fruity, aromatic piccolo.
I love that analogy. It works so perfectly.
We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, from nighttime plant respiration to dairy fat chemistry. And if you want to take this knowledge off your headphones and put it into a mug, learn coffee 1 cup at a time with PASA Coffee in Dubai.
Yeah, if you are ever paralyzed in front of a retail shelf trying to choose between a bright African bean and a heavy South American bean, they can absolutely help you choose the right one.
They will help you navigate what is going to work best for your specific palate and your home brewing setup.
For sure.
And as we wrap up this global tour, I want to plant a seed for where we are going next. Today, we look at how massive geographic factors, like mountain ranges, volcanic soil, and tropical climates, basically engineer the flavor of your coffee.
But the deepest secrets of coffee flavor require us to zoom in even closer.
Much closer. In our next deep dive, episode 4, we are going to bypass the world map entirely and look at the microscopic anatomy of the coffee cherry itself.
Oh, this is my favorite part. We will break down the skin, the pulp, the mucilage, the parchment, and the seed. Because once you understand the physical layers of that fruit, you will uncover how the methods humans use to strip that fruit away fundamentally chemically alter the liquid in your cup.
I cannot wait to tear into the anatomy of the cherry. It's going to be wild.
It really is.
Until then, keep learning, keep tasting, and remember the mystery we started with today. The next time you take a sip of black coffee and it tastes unmistakably like fresh blueberries, you won't need to look at the barista like they're performing a magic trick.
No, you'll know exactly what's happening.
Exactly. It's not a syrup and it's not a spell. It is just a tiny seed grown slowly on a cold, high mountain in Ethiopia, telling you the exact story of the dirt it came from.
Ethiopia, Brazil, 2 lands on the belt, 2 different flavors in every cup felt. Ethiopia blooms with berries and tea. Brazil brings cocoa, nuts smooth and sweet. PASA Coffee, taste and see which origin Coffee starts today.
PASA Coffee Podcast.
Episode 3.